We're going to call this meeting to order. St. George City Council, regular meeting agenda, March 25th, 2025, 5 p.m. St. George City Hall, 14100 Airline Highway. As always, we will start and stand with a Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call. Councilman Monticello.
Here.
Councilwoman Cook.
Here.
Councilman Himmel.
Here.
Councilman Edmonds.
Here.
Councilman Heck.
Here.
We have a quorum. We can continue. Approval of minutes of the March 11th, 2025 council meeting. All council members received these minutes and have reviewed them. Do I have a motion?
I make a motion to accept it.
Motion to approve by Councilman Himmel. Second by Councilwoman Cook. Any opposition to that? Hearing none, meeting minutes have been approved. Next up will be presentation from IBTS Program Director, Mr. Scott Bird, on our financial report.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. In front of you have the revenue and expenses for the last several months. We did reorganize this report a little bit at the request of the council to show it on a monthly basis. And so it is kind of revealing. It shows a steady increase in each month in our activity as far as revenue goes. And this is through the month of February. You turn to the page where it says supplemental general fund by month. The first page is the balance sheet, and the second one begins to show the same thing in relation to the revenues. And you can see each month, 425, 740, then 149,000, 723,000, and 867,000, mostly an occupational license, but you know, we also have the permitting fees and planning and zoning underneath. And then you see total revenues of a couple $1 million for year to date. And then beneath that, we have the itemized description of where the expenses have incurred for each month as well. And we are within budget. We'll be introducing a budget amendment to more closely align our revenues and expenses so that this report makes more sense as we go into adopting our next year fiscal budget. We want to have this one amended a little bit just so that it's more accurate. And that's all I have. Any questions?
For the amended part, that also includes the bond that we incurred, correct?
Yes, sir.
All right, next up, we have a proclamation recognizing April 2025 as Sexual Assault Awareness Month. We have somebody here that will speak on this, Ms. Morgan.
You know, there. So my name is Morgan Lamondre. I'm the president and CEO of STAR. The full name of our organization is Sexual Trauma Awareness and Response. And we are a nonprofit sexual assault center that provides free and confidential services to sexual trauma survivors. We started out in the East Baton Rouge District Attorney's Office actually in 1975, but with the support of Hill and Moore. And I'm, very happy about your chief, who has always been a supporter of STAR. We've became a nonprofit in 2012. So we provide free advocacy, therapy, and legal representation to sexual assault survivors, and we are the accredited center for this area. And every year, whether you know it or not, either somebody you know has been the direct survivor of a sexual trauma, or people in this room have. So it is one of those things that's hard to talk about, but everyone is affected by it. And I think that, as a council and as the city is being worked on, this is something that everyone, regardless of political affiliation, ideology, everyone can get on board with supporting this. So we appreciate, I want to thank Councilman Richie Edmonds for doing this proclamation. We are now going to have a competition between him and his dad on whether or not he is going to introduce one for the Senate. But I really appreciate, that you all are going to be recognizing April in the city of St. George as Sexual Assault Awareness Month.
Are we the first proclamation for 2025?
You
in
are.
this region?
I'm actually not aware of any other in the state at this point that has done it so early. So that is actually, y'all are competitive here.
We are very competitive.
Yes.
Thank you so much for coming, Morgan. Look, at Morgan lives in St. George, actually in District 1.
Yep.
Very involved in community, has always been, and her work down at the Capitol, as she has said, has been tremendous. Working relationship with the House and the Senate, and now with our city municipalities. So Morgan, we appreciate it, and we thank you for allowing us to do this today.
Yes, thank you so much. Oh, and just one other thing. I do have, it was 10 teal awareness pins, which is the color for sexual assault awareness. One may have been confiscated by my daughter, Estella. I also have some of STAR's material in the back that says more about the services we provide. And we also have a pledge each year that it was started by a law enforcement agency where it's called the Start by Believing Pledge. And we have those pledge cards. I really invite all of you to take pictures and put the pledge. And essentially what it means is, what would you do if somebody disclosed to you that they were sexually assaulted? You wouldn't say, well, what were you wearing? Where were you? What were you doing? You would say, how can I support you? What do you need right now? So we encourage all our lawmakers. Another way to be competitive, because last year we go around, Start by Believing Day is the first Wednesday of the month. And we get our lawmakers to take pictures, and we encourage you to take a picture and post on social media with the pledge. So.
Absolutely. Well, you just stay right there, because we're going to read off the proclamation in full, and then we're going to take some pictures.
Okay.
So City of St. George, State of Louisiana, Proclamation 2025-03. Whereas April marks Sexual Assault Awareness Month, a time to bring attention to the widespread issue of sexual violence and empower communities to take action. This year's theme, Together We Act, United We Change, highlights the power of working together to create safer, more respectful environments for all. Whereas sexual abuse, assault, and harassment affect individuals of every background. To address this, we must promote education around consent, healthy communication, and bystander intervention. By equipping individuals and communities with these tools, we can help prevent violence before it starts and foster a culture of respect and care. Whereas central to this campaign is the importance of amplifying the voice of survivors, especially those most vulnerable in our communities. Their experiences must be heard and acknowledged, and their stories should guide our efforts to combat sexual violence in all its forms. Whereas everyone in our communities deserve to live in safe and supportive environments where they are treated with respect. When our workplaces, schools, and communities work together to uphold safety and respect, we make progress in preventing sexual abuse, assault, and harassment. Whereas statistics show most women and men across all sexual identities who experience contact sexual violence reported that person who harmed them was someone they knew. Over 53% of women and over 29% of men reporting experiencing contact sexual violence. 1 in 5 male victims reported only male perpetrators. 1 in 2 had only female perpetrators, and about 1 in 6 had both male and female perpetrators. More than 1 in 4 non-Hispanic Black women, 29% in the United States, were raped in their lifetime. 1 in 3 Hispanic women, that's 34.8%, reported unwanted sexual contact in their lifetime. More than 4 in 5 American Indian and Alaskan Native women, 84.3%, have experienced violence in their lifetime. 32.9% of adults with intellectual disabilities have experienced sexual violence. 47% of all transgender people have been sexually assaulted at some point in their lives. Whereas Together We Act, United We Change, by standing in solidarity, we can build a future free from sexual violence and create a world where everyone is safe, valued, and respected. Now, therefore, I, Dustin Yates, Mayor of the City of St. George, together with the St. George City Council, do hereby proclaim the month of April of 2025 Sexual Assault Awareness Month in the city of St. George.
Ma'am, do y'all work with the Bo Clark's office?
So the
You want to
sexual
explain what y'all
assault,
do?
yeah, so the sexual assault nurse examiners, we're actually part of getting that program going. The nurses respond to area hospitals to do forensic medical exams. Sexual assault nurse examiners are really the gold standard in the country for providing those exams. And when they are dispatched to go do that, they call our 24/7 hotline and request an advocate, and an advocate goes to accompany the survivor during that very invasive exam.
Are y'all providing the assessment, or y'all are providing just support?
So during that process, we are providing emotional support, resources, referrals, telling them about their rights. Due to all of the legislative activity we've had, sexual assault survivors actually are given a number of rights. But then after that, we can get them connected to one of our therapists, as well as legal representation. Maybe they need a protection order. Maybe they're not ready to report right away. And as people know, there's been, sexual assault Title IX hearings on college campuses. We are able to provide free legal representation to survivors during those processes. There's a number of things. There's lease termination. So our attorneys provide a number of legal services to survivors as well. Of course, we are at a wait list usually for our therapy services. Unfortunately, we can't quite meet the demand that's out there. But ultimately, we do have a wait list. We're trying to get through it, but we do provide therapy. It's not just crisis counseling. It's somebody who is a licensed professional counselor or a licensed social worker, and they are trained in EMDR usually, or, the way we look at our services is, even though survivors are not paying for the services directly, the quality of our services should be no different than if you're paying top dollar for it. And that's something we take very seriously and we are very proud of. So.
Does the coroner's office, you pay for service, or do y'all get monies from Zachary Central, East Baton Rouge? How does that work?
We do get, so the East Baton Rouge Sheriff's Office provides us with a financial contribution each year. The Baton Rouge City Police provide us with a contribution each year. And then we do have services in other, Greater New Orleans, as well as Rapides. We depend a lot on federal grants, which unfortunately, depending on what's going on, they can change. And a lot of victim service providers are seeing a lot of cuts to what's called the VOCA funding. There's been an article somewhere about it. So, but for the most part, we have to go through and compete and, apply for private dollar donations, foundations. There's a lot of local foundations that support us, like the Pennington Foundation, the Huey and Angelina Wilson Foundation. There's a number of foundations that we get our support. So obviously from community members, we have quite a number of donors in St. George as well. Because people, again, you don't think about this type of thing until it happens to you. So
Bo always spoke very highly of y'all, so thank you for doing a good job.
thank you. Thank you again.
Thank you. All right, on the introductions. Introduction of ordinance resolution for public hearing on April 8th, 2025 is one item. Ordinance to establish the bond amount for the city clerk and city tax collector and to provide for related matters. One item for introduction, also to be heard on April 8th, 2025, from the Planning Commission and Zoning Commission. That's item number 1, T-25-02, outdoor kitchens. Amend Title 7 of the Unified Development Code to make outdoor kitchens a permanent accessory use and to provide for related matters. Those are our 2 introduction items. On to new business. Item number 1 under new business, ordinance to enact provisions of the International Property Maintenance Code and to provide for related matters. I received no cards or emails on this particular item, but I'll open up the public comment period on this. If anybody here would like to speak on this item, now would be the time. I'm seeing none. We'll close the public comment period on item 1 under new business. Scott, you or Stephanie want to speak on this?
Council, Mayor. So the International Property Maintenance Code just established standards to uphold property owners for the conditions of their buildings or personal property. There's instances where it monitors deterioration of buildings, upkeep, and other provisions that are more comprehensive than our current code.
Does anybody have any questions for Justin? All right, thank you, Justin. Council?
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve by Councilman Heck. Second by Councilman Monticello. Any opposition to that item? Hearing none, item is approved. All right, item number 2 under new business, ordinance to amend Title 4 relative to administrative hearings and to provide for related matters. Did not receive any cards on this item either, but we'll open up the public comment period. If anybody from the public would like to speak, now would be your time. Are you coming to speak? Oh, okay. You sure? Okay. Okay, we'll close the public comment period at this time. Sherry, can you explain to the council and the public a little bit about the administrative hearing process, please?
Sure. The administrative hearing process is a process that will be used in the city of St. George to handle just what we discussed, the property maintenance and any other violations by property owners will be handled. We'll have an administrative hearing officer and hearing, so everybody is afforded due process. We already adopted Title IV, and it was similar, aligned with what Central has been using, which works very well. And then we were presented with another ordinance from another jurisdiction, and it had some authority for the hearing officer that was in addition. And so we're recommending, since we haven't started the hearing process yet, that we give this additional authority to the hearing officers.
Just to clarify, this is kind of the first step in the process of creating once we take over code enforcement, this is a way for residents that are fined in the code enforcement world. This will be the process in order to adjudicate the issue, correct?
Correct, for property owners that don't maintain their grass, have junk in the property, park cars on there, have abandoned vehicles, fire hazards, anything of that nature.
This should be something of interest for the city of St. George residents. There's not a week that goes by that I don't get a picture of somebody's overgrown grass, somebody's trash where it shouldn't be, or some other type of nuisance in the neighborhood. So I wanted everybody to be aware that this is where the process starts at. So hopefully in the next month or so, month and a half, once we go through a few more meetings, we'll have that set up. And then once we take over code enforcement, then watch out, St. George. Cut your grass, pick up your trash. Let's keep it clean, huh?
It's also for construction that doesn't comply with the code or is not authorized by a permit,
Why are you looking at me?
because you might be guilty.
All right, council. Motion to approve by Councilman Edmonds, second by Councilwoman Cook.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir.
Sherry, when we get code enforcement spun up and there's an obvious place that, hey, let's send code enforcement over there. kind of the low hanging fruit's going to be some less than desirable pieces of property that are, maybe up to no good. How does a code enforcement official go in there and, how do we, what's that process look like? He knocks on the door, they don't let him in. The code enforcement official can't come in. Can we put more teeth in how we prosecute or go after potential violators of the code?
We are doing that first with adoption of Title IV, this amendment to Title IV, the International Property Maintenance Code. You're going to get to an ordinance on massage establishments. And so there are some particular businesses that have different things that need to be addressed. So this is all going to work together. So we will have a team of inspectors. The building official already is looking for compliance with the building codes. And then we'll have a team of inspectors when there'll be a process where residents can report that their neighbor is not complying with some code or whatever. And then it will go through a process and the property owner will be notified by certified mail and given a certain period of time to abate the violation. If they fail to abate the violation, it will come to legal and we will do a legal administrative complaint, and then they will have to come to a hearing and there'll be an adjudication. There can be a lien filed against the property owner can be fined. And if the property owner doesn't abate the violation, the city then has authority to come in and abate the violation and to put a lien on the property for the cost of abatement. The process in Central has worked very well the primary purpose is to get the property owners to maintain their own property. City doesn't want to be constantly maintaining private property and then relying upon a lien. But it's really an education sometimes to the property owners of what their responsibilities are, but they need to keep their property safe for the benefit of their neighbors, for the benefit of our law enforcement, our fire department, anybody that might have to go onto the property to assist somebody. So some of it is education, and we could do some of that through our website as well.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Got a motion on the table that's been seconded. Any opposition to that motion? I'm hearing none. That item is approved. Number 3, under new business, ordinance to regulate massage establishments and to provide for related matters. Once again, didn't receive any cards on this, but if anybody from the public would like to speak on this item, now would be the time. I will open the public comment period. I'm seeing none. We'll close the public comment period. This time we'll bring up Chief Dwayne Ardno from the St. George Fire Protection District Fire Prevention Bureau to kind of explain this ordinance to us.
Thank you, Mayor and Council, for an opportunity to present another ordinance. This one is specific for massage establishments. How many people on the council know that there's a human trafficking problem in the nation? Everybody. How many know there's a human trafficking problem in Baton Rouge? Okay, that's more than I was expecting. But that's what brought this about. Doing inspections on businesses, we find that they use a loophole with the massage industry to get human trafficking. There's 2 types, labor and sex trafficking. Both of them are going on. It's a national, local problem. It's not going to be solved by us locally. It's going to take an international team to get this done. We have now in East Baton Rouge Parish a task force that has multiple agencies. The problem we sat at the table to talk. Everybody knows the violations they're committing. Nobody, including the DA's office, said they had the authority to stop it. We have the authority to violate them, but no authority to stop it. This ordinance is going to give us that authority. It's going to make it plain and simple. We'll be able to stop it. Most of the trafficking is coming in from China. They'll come into California, bring them to Houston or New York, and then disperse from there. When we do code enforcement, we always give an opportunity for them to correct their violations. They'll correct it, and as soon as we walk out the door, they put it back in place. We come back the next time, it's the same thing over and over. So there is a nuisance clause involved with it to help stop it. It gives us and other law enforcement agencies and the permitting office the authority to stop and close these businesses down. We are gearing towards going after the landlords and the building owners. There are state laws in place to help us with that. We've gone after a couple of them and they've closed the businesses down. So this will give us the teeth, as mentioned earlier, to go ahead and stop this in the St. George's area.
Really, the premise of the ordinance is just giving us here locally the authority to do what has to be done to make sure that current laws are being abided by, correct?
Mostly, yes. It also identifies issues that they're doing that are misusing it. In other words, dress codes and different things they're doing at the massage establishment that doesn't relate to massages, but it brings customers in. You can also say there is a customer problem here in St. George too, because they wouldn't do it if they didn't have the customers coming, but they are there. So, for instance, the ordinance, it does address attire for the establishment. When we walk in and we see a woman in lingerie and high heels, it's not actually a massage establishment at that point, but that's what they're calling it. This ordinance addresses those type things, no bedrooms, that type thing. And it's all included in the ordinance to stop. Yes.
Who is on the, who are the members of the task force?
Oh, multiple members. We have the massage permitting office. We have the DA's office, East Baton Rouge Parish Sheriff, BRPD, Baton Rouge Code Enforcement, St. George Code Enforcement, the Secretary of State's office. Now we're getting federal help. We have the FBI and the CBP involved. CBP has offered to send agents that can help us with the language barrier. So it's getting a lot of buy-in at the moment. It's just everybody at the table agreed that ordinances are the best way to address it and try to curtail it.
And you said that you had discussed this with some other agencies, and that they said that they couldn't enforce
Correct.
some of these laws. And what was the reason behind that?
Nobody has it in law, and willingness is part of it.
That's what it is.
But for instance, the massage board for Louisiana, they can walk in and there's a list of things that are violations. And they said they're allowed to give them a violation notice, but they're not allowed to stop it. They can only tell them that there's a violation. So they continue to do it. They also utilize reciprocity. So they'll get their massage license in California, bring it here, and they recognize it here. Well, most of them are forged or fake. So now the ordinance states that they have to get it from Louisiana if they want to do business in St. George as a city of it.
What would be your approximate, how many establishments are there within St. George?
I'll take a shot in the dark and say we have about 50.
They're all licensed? Like they have occupational licenses, so there's 50 massage.
No,
So they don't have occupancy license?
not all of them, no. Some are operating without permits. Some are operating without a licensed therapist. Some are operating without a business permit. Some are operating without any type of permit. Some of them have permits with different addresses on the walls. They'll move from one to another whenever we put enough pressure on them for one spot. They'll close it and reopen it.
The city parish, how do these rules differ? How do they separate from the city parish's current rules? I want to say here in the last 2 or 3 years, or maybe the last 10, time goes by so fast. But I know that Metro Council, city parish should address this. And then I think there were some state laws. So how is this, does it mirror city parish or does it improve upon it?
It does improve. There's a new one that the city parish is considering at the moment. This one is a little more stringent and targets it better, in my opinion. But I'm biased. I wrote it, so. This one does target a lot. The definitions in this one, it covers a bigger area of what they're getting away with. The definition section of it and the things, I had to look some of them up. I didn't think I led a sheltered life, but some of the terms that are in there are pretty, but yes, they do have an ordinance. It's just not as stringent.
Sherry, did you want to add something?
I serve as the general counsel for the Louisiana State Board of Massage Therapy. So I'm very familiar with the process. The city parish's ordinance relies upon their building inspectors to enforce, and building inspectors generally work until 4:30 in the evening. And so a lot of it goes, this is real prevalent on the weekends and the evenings. And really the building inspectors don't have law enforcement. They don't have arrest powers. So this ordinance is modeled after one that was adopted by the city of Denham Springs, and it has been successful there, but it gives more authority to the law enforcement and the fire department and agencies that work more of a 24/7 staffing. The Louisiana State Board of Massage Therapy can revoke a license if they have a license issued by the state board, but they have no authority to close a business or to do the same things. A lot of the businesses do in fact have occupational licenses. And that's one thing that this would give the city the authority to revoke the occupational license. So that's another way, but a lot of them do have occupational licenses. A lot of them are registered with the Secretary of State. A lot of them have got licenses through the state board. The state board is very active and participating with the task force to try to curtail illicit massage businesses so that we only have actual massage therapists that are practicing.
The group that you represent, have they looked at this ordinance? They're good with these? They're neutral?
They reviewed it when Denham Springs brought it to the state board. They also testified before the Metro Council on the Metro Council's ordinance, which is not as effective. And
did they testify in support or neutrality or against it?
They're state officials, so they have to provide information, but their information was that it should be more like the Denham Springs ordinance.
You represent the state board, okay?
Correct.
Not an association of massage therapy, okay?
No, the state licensing board.
So with that, though, the legitimate,
But it takes an effort of multi-agencies.
the legitimate massage therapist in town,
We'll have no problem with this ordinance.
Massage Envy or this.
I go every week.
You're going tonight.
I go tomorrow and I have a shot Thursday. I go to a place that's in St. George. Individual woman that runs the place, not too far from here. My wife goes as well. About a year ago, I'm laying out on the table and she asked me about this. I'm not big. I don't know all the rules to all this stuff. So she starts complaining about onerous government coming down. I guess maybe the state did something here recently, or was it maybe it's the Metro Council?
The city parish adopted an ordinance which duplicated. You have to have a background check to get a license from the state board, but the city parish was making them have a second background check through the parole office and was making them do a lot of things duplicative of what the state did. So this does not.
This ordinance does not do that, because the
No.
last thing I want to do is put onerous regulations on legitimate places.
Right.
I'm of firm belief that things that are going on in massage parlors that are not what we want, not massages, that's already illegal, and it's a willingness of enforcement. If that's going on right now, and I know and I have a question about like who has arrest powers, as we don't have a police force. The things going on in there are 100% illegal. Sheriff's Department needs to go in there and arrest some people. If passing additional laws, I understand why you want it. It's a good tool, and
Mhm.
you know, I don't know if I'm going to vote in favor or against it, but if we want this place to change, the DA and the sheriff's office have to start doing their jobs. We could pass all the laws we want. If they don't do something about it, nothing's going to happen.
Anything else for Chief Ardno? Thank you, Chief. Thanks for the information. And thanks for doing this for us. All right, council.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion to approve by Edmonds, second by Cook. Any opposition? All right, roll call vote. Councilman Monticello?
Aye.
Councilwoman Cook?
Aye.
Councilman Himmel?
Aye.
Councilman Edmonds? Councilman Heck?
Thank y'all for having me take the position of pro massage parlor. Nay.
Motion passes. All right, last item under new business. Resolution relative to enactment of land use and flood control measures with effective enforcement provisions consistent with the criteria set forth in Section 60 of the National Flood Insurance Program regulations. Okay. I didn't receive any cards on this item, but if anybody would like to speak on this, we'll open up the public comment period at this time. All right, I see none. We'll close the public comment period. We'll bring up Justin Dupree, who is our floodplain manager here in St. George, and he can kind of explain what this is and what it's going to do.
Good evening again, Council. So this resolution is a requirement by FEMA for the National Flood Insurance Program. We've already adopted an ordinance with all of our regulations and how we enforce it. This is just a commitment to continue to enforce those regulations. And again, like I said, it's just a requirement to participate in the program.
Tonight, and we're qualifying to be a part of the program. How long does it take to be a part of the program?
It depends on the application processing.
Where do we stand?
After tonight, that process starts, and so we can go ahead and move forward, and we'll have a better timeline to report after that.
Thank you.
Anything else for Justin? Thank you, Justin.
Thank you.
Council?
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve by Councilman Heck, second by Himmel. Any opposition to that? Hearing none, motion is approved. All right, that's all of our new business for this evening. Other business and announcements. Saturday, March 29th, 2025, Election Day for St. George elected officials, and to authorize the adoption of the proposed home rule charter. Monday, April 7th, 2025 is our next is our Planning Commission meeting. Directly following that, on Monday, April 7th, 2025 will be our Zoning Commission meeting. And same day, Monday, April 7th, 2025 will be our meeting for our Board of Adjustments. Also, one other quick announcement. A few months ago, we started with our local hazard mitigation plan. There's going to be a little public meeting here afterwards, at the end of the council meeting. If you'd like to hang around, please feel free. And they'll have a little presentation on what the local hazard mitigation plan is and what it's doing. And the only way that the plan really works is if the public gets engaged in it and plays a part in it. So I know that one email went out yesterday, I believe, and we already got a lot of great responses back from people all throughout the city. So that needs to continue in order for us to know what's important to you as far as local hazard mitigation. So as soon as I adjourn this, it'll be a few minutes, and then that meeting will take place. In reference to? All the meetings take place here. The time for the plan. Billy, what time do y'all meet? 6. So they start at 6 and they go until they're finished. So they go back to back to back, starting at 6 o'clock. You're welcome. Excuse me, 5:30 for the Board of Adjustments meets first. Board of Adjustments at 5:30, And then planning and zoning follow there directly after. Sorry about that. Yep, it'll be on our website, as always, with the rest of our meeting schedules. All right, do I hear a motion to adjourn? Motion to adjourn by Edmonds, second by Himmel. Any opposition to that? Hearing none, this meeting is adjourned. See you in 2 weeks. Thank y'all. Go vote.
Can you say that in public?